Indonesia's diversity and democracy go hand in hand with development and efforts to achieve social justice for its people. As part of its relentless commitment to achieve common global goals, Indonesia is presenting its candidature as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for 2019-2020. Through its candidature, Indonesia is committed to upholding the principle and purposes of the UN Charter and maintaining its role as a bridge builder among the UN member states.
Konferensi Asia Afrika kali ini dengan semangat yang sama dalam tantangan yang berbeda.
Indonesia shall be a true partner in creating a global ecosystem of peace and stability, ensuring synergy between sustainable peace and development agenda, and also combating terrorism, radicalism, and violent extremism. Indonesia is both in solidarity with developing countries and a reliable partner for developed countries. Indonesia is ready to promote dialogue and cooperation and to enhance the capacity of countries to deal with domestic challenges. We are looking forward to continue working hard with our partners in achieving development for all. Join us in making sure no one is left behind. Indonesia, a true partner for world peace. Indonesia, the place where knowledge and innovation are committed to humanity. Through its long story since 1849, Universitas Indonesia is considered as the oldest educational institution in Asia. It has been through a substantial change for more than a century. Founded as Japanese medical doctor school, today Universitas Indonesia became a center of science, technology, culture, and arts. Located in 320 hectares greenwood area, Universitas Indonesia offers a comfortable environment for daily teaching and research activities. To become one best world-class research university, Universitas Indonesia is committed to provide wide and fair access of high-quality teaching and learning.
Cake study. Cake. Cakes.
Being part of a global educational institution, Universitas Indonesia invites students from all over the world. A value of learning how to convey and to accept knowledge with global society, despite different language and cultural background. In the process to be an open knowledge community, Universitas Indonesia is committed to provide learning opportunities to talented students from all over the world through its extensive scholarship program for more than 500 students each year. Excellences of the university's researchers has been proven by research products which benefits development of science, public welfare, technological, industrial achievement, and engineering, as well as government policies in social, economical, political, and cultural sectors. At Universitas Indonesia, each student has the opportunity to share knowledge and make it something that will impact society and how to get used to the global competitive environment. To become virtuous and globally competitive graduates and prominent leaders in many respective fields. Academic, extracurricular, and other resources are designed to prepare them for the highest positions of leadership and lives in many fields of service of global human endeavor. Also, how they lead to implementing knowledge as part of community service. A simple solutions for most common social problems in the developing country. A strong tradition in making a contribution to society. Interaction with global influential leaders is part of the process of all University of Indonesia's academic society. How they perceive a global challenge through the respective leaders. always moves forward with open arms to embrace all talented young people. Universitas Indonesia, the next level of excellence.
Dari tempat saya sekolah untuk pulang ke rumah, kami pulangnya itu merangkak dari bawah pohon kopi, karena ketika itu terjadi kontak senjata.
Ya, pada teman-teman yang sudah mendapatkan shell, mohon
Kami
untuk
bisa pulang,
dipakai.
kami terjebak di sebuah sekolah.
Tiba-tiba situasinya jadi tegang dan banyak pengungsi yang panik menyelamatkan diri mencari perlindungan ke beton.
Kalau di samping pernah gagal karena saya maksudnya pernah mengalami kehidupan yang karena waktu itu mungkin rasa di antara sesama warga Indonesia itu bila masih tersekat oleh kesukuan.
Indonesia adalah bangsa yang
Suku,
Ras, agama, dan etnis di Indonesia sama dengan
Saya pernah mengalami masa yang saat ini Aceh sudah kembali.
sambil bergandeng tangan, Ambon dan Poso kembali bergabung.
kita sadar masih banyak permasalahan.
Karena itu, mari bersama mencintai orang.
perdamaian itu terjadi saat kita memandang orang lain itu manusia.
Saya Indonesia,
Saya Indonesia.
Saya Indonesia, saya cinta perdamaian.
Indonesia officially became the 60th member of the United Nations in 1950. Throughout its membership, Indonesia has actively involved in countless endeavors to strengthen international peace and security, and also in numerous social, economic, and humanitarian works. The Constitution of Indonesia mandates the government to contribute to a world order based on freedom, perpetual peace, and social justice. As exemplified during its previous memberships at the UN Security Council, Indonesia has played a significant role as a moderating voice and a consensus builder among the members of the Security Council and the broader member states. Indonesia represents a politically stable, economically strong, and law-abiding nation where religious diversity and democracy go hand in hand with development and efforts to achieve social justice for its people. As part of its relentless commitment to achieve common global goals, Indonesia is presenting its candidature as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for 2019-2020. Through its candidature, Indonesia is committed to upholding the principle and purposes of the UN Charter and maintaining its role as a bridge builder among the UN member states.
Konferensi Asia Afrika kali ini dengan semangat yang sama dalam tantangan yang berbeda.
Indonesia shall be a true partner in creating a global ecosystem of peace and stability, ensuring synergy between sustainable peace and development agenda, and also combating terrorism, radicalism, and violent extremism. Indonesia is both in solidarity with developing countries and a reliable partner for developed countries. Indonesia is ready to promote dialogue and cooperation and to enhance the capacity of countries to deal with domestic challenges. We are looking forward to continue working hard with our partners in achieving development for all. Join us in making sure no one is left behind. Indonesia, a true partner for world peace.
Indonesia, the place where knowledge and innovation are committed to humanity. Through its long story since 1849, Universitas Indonesia is considered as the oldest educational institution in Asia. It has been through a substantial change for more than a century. Founded as Japanese medical doctor school, today Universitas Indonesia became a center of science, technology, culture, and arts. Located on 320 hectares greenland, Universitas Indonesia offers a comfortable environment for daily teaching and research activities. To become one best world-class research university, Universitas Indonesia is committed to provide wide and fair access of high-quality teaching and learning. Universitas Indonesia invites students from all over the world. A value of learning how to convey and to accept knowledge with global society despite different language and cultural background. In the process to be an open knowledge community, Universitas Indonesia is committed to provide learning opportunities to talented students from all over the world through its extensive scholarship program for more than 500 students each year. At Universitas Indonesia, each student has the opportunity to share knowledge and make it something that will impact society and how they get used to a global competitive environment. To become virtual Interaction with global influential leaders is part of the learning process about the University of Indonesia's academic society, how they perceive a global challenge for their respective leaders.
Ada sih men.
Kali ya?
Mau yang itu.
Ini ada nih.
It's our commitment to constantly developing a learning community that always moves forward with open arms to embrace all the talented young people. Universitas Indonesia, the next level of excellence.
Indonesia officially became the 60th member of the United Nations in 1950. Throughout its membership, Indonesia has actively involved in countless endeavors to strengthen international peace and security, and also in numerous social, economic, and humanitarian works. The Constitution of Indonesia mandates the government to contribute to a world order based on freedom, perpetual peace, and social justice. As exemplified during its previous memberships of the UN Security Council, Indonesia has played a significant role as a moderating voice and a consensus builder among the members of the Security Council and the broader member states. Indonesia represents a politically stable, economically strong, and law-abiding nation where religious diversity and democracy go hand in hand with development and efforts to achieve social justice for its people. As part of its relentless commitment to achieve common global goals, Indonesia is presenting its candidature as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for 2019-2020. Through its candidature, Indonesia is committed to upholding the principle and purposes of the UN Charter and maintaining its role as a bridge builder among the UN member states.
Konferensi Asia Afrika kali ini dengan semangat yang sama dalam tantangan yang berbeda.
Indonesia shall be a true partner in creating a global ecosystem of peace and stability, ensuring synergy between sustainable peace and development agenda, and also combating terrorism, radicalism, and violent extremism. Indonesia is both in solidarity with developing countries and a reliable partner for developed countries. Indonesia is ready to promote dialogue and cooperation and to enhance the capacity of countries to deal with domestic challenges. We are looking forward to continue working hard with our partners in achieving development for all. Join us in making sure no one is left behind. Indonesia, a true partner for world peace.
dari tempat saya sekolah untuk pulang ke rumah. Kami pulangnya itu merambat dari bawah pohon kopi.
Many graduates of Universitas Indonesia play a central role in both national and global development, a strong tradition of making a contribution to society. Interaction with global influential leaders is part of the learning process of all University of Indonesia's academic society. Its final commitment to constantly developing and learning community that always moves forward with our goals to embrace all talented young people. Universitas Indonesia, the next level of excellence.
Dari tempat saya sekolah untuk pulang ke rumah, kami pulangnya itu merambat dari bawah pohon kopi. Karena ketika itu terjadi kontak senjata antara TNI dan GAM, jadi kami nggak bisa pulang. Kami terjebak di sebuah sekolah.
Tiba-tiba situasinya jadi tegang dan banyak pengungsi yang lari menyelamatkan diri mencari perlindungan ke Buton.
Kalau di samping pernah gagal, pernah saya maksudnya pernah mengalami kehidupan yang itu karena waktu itu mungkin rasa di antara sesama warga Indonesia hilang sih tersekat oleh kesukuan.
Indonesia adalah bangsa yang
Suku,
Ras, agama, dan etnis di Indonesia sangat beragam.
saya pernah mengalami masa yang saat ini Aceh sudah kembali utuh.
Sambal sangkit dan lingkungan, Ambon dan Poso kembali bersama.
kita sadar masih banyak permasalahan.
Karena itu, mari bersama
Perdamaian itu terjadi saat kita memandang orang itu manusia.
Saya Indonesia,
Saya Indonesia.
Saya Indonesia, saya cinta perdamaian.
Indonesia officially became the 60th member of the United Nations in 1950. Throughout its membership, Indonesia is actively involved in countless endeavors to strengthen international peace and security, and also in numerous social, economic, and humanitarian works. The Constitution of Indonesia mandates the government to contribute to a world order based on freedom, perpetual peace, and social justice. As exemplified during its previous memberships of the UN Security Council, Indonesia has played a significant role as a moderating voice and a consensus builder among the members of the Security Council and the broader member states. politically stable, economically strong, and law-abiding nation, where religious diversity and democracy go hand in hand with development and efforts to achieve social justice for its people. As part of its relentless commitment to achieve common global goals, Indonesia is presenting its candidature as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for 2019-2020. Through its candidature, Indonesia is committed to upholding the principles and purposes of the UN Charter and maintaining its role as a bridge builder among the UN member states.
Konferensi Asia Afrika kali ini dengan semangat yang sama dalam tantangan yang berbeda.
Indonesia shall be a true partner in creating a global ecosystem of peace and stability, ensuring synergy between sustainable peace and development agenda, and also combating terrorism, radicalism, and violent extremism. Indonesia is built in solidarity with developing countries and a reliable partner for developed countries. Indonesia is ready to promote dialogue and cooperation and to enhance the capacity of countries to deal with domestic challenges. We are looking forward to continue working hard with our partners in achieving development for all. Join us in making sure no one is left behind. Indonesia, a true partner for world peace.
Through its long story since 1849, Universitas Indonesia is considered as the oldest educational institution in Asia. It has been through a substantial change for more than a century. Founded as Japanese medical doctor school, today Universitas Indonesia became a center of science, technology, culture, and arts. Located in the 340 hectares greenery, Universitas Indonesia offers a comfortable environment for daily teaching and research activities. To become one best world-class research university, Universitas Indonesia is committed to provide wide and fair access of high-quality teaching and learning.
Yang sono. Oke, sebelah sana. Itu dua ya. Ada satu Mbak. Ini kosong ya? Ini kosong Mbak.
Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the State of Palestine, His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki, and a distinguished delegation of Palestine. The Honorable Director for Middle East Affairs, Mr. Sunarko, Director of School of Strategy and Global Studies, Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Muhammad Lutfi Zurbi, Dean of Faculty of Humanity, Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Adrianus Waworongku, the Honorable Lecturers of School of Strategy and Global Studies, Universitas Indonesia, and the participants of today's event.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the public lecture on Solidarity Week for Palestine. This public lecture is presented by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia and School of Strategic and Global Studies, Universitas Indonesia. It is a great honor for me, Rizkian Shah Ramadan, and my partner, Siti Nur Hasanah, to be standing here and welcoming each and every one of you.
Before we start our public lecture, I would like to deliver today's agenda. Our first agenda, opening. Singing the national anthem of Indonesia and the national anthem of Palestine. Screening profile video of School of Strategy and Global Studies, Universitas Indonesia. Welcoming speech from the Director of School of Strategy and Global Studies, Universitas Indonesia. Public lecture from His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki. Discussion. Presenting token of appreciation. Photo session. And closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's start our agenda today by reciting Al-Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Moving to our next agenda, singing the national anthem of Indonesia will be led by Faizatu Almas Hadyanti. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And then singing the national anthem of Palestine.
يا أرضي يا أرض الجنود فدائي 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 يا شعبي يا شعب الخلود.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Our next agenda is screening the profile video of School of Strategic and Global Studies, Universitas Indonesia.
Asia, with its vast and steady growth, has turned itself into the leader of global economy. Indonesia, with its strategic position, has the chance to take the major role in this era. In order to build global partnerships and counteract the threats, strategic policies should be taken. To enhance the nation's competitive advantage, further approach through in-depth, comprehensive studies and researches are crucial. With our long history, has proved ourselves to be a reliable academic institution. After successfully adapting into distinct programs, in 2016, officially the program turned into School of Strategic and Global Studies. School of Strategic and Global Studies Universitas Indonesia contributes to the cause by producing qualified human resources and studies. Situated in the heart of Jakarta, the School of Strategic and Global Studies provides a variety of courses on multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary studies at the master's levels.
In my humble opinion, I can say that I have a good impression at the first sight. An atmosphere and ambience here support us to gain more and achieve more other than merely classes and handouts.
I think that is a very promising because of the multidisciplinary approach that Universitas Indonesia offers us to study. For another reason, the situation that I actually got in the classes is a lot of interesting current issues that we're talking about, so it's academically fulfilling for me.
With dedicated and qualified lecturers from academic and practical background, School of Strategic and Global Studies Universitas Indonesia produce scholars and practitioners that will ready for global challenges. Together, we build the nation for a better world.
Entering our next agenda, welcoming speech from the Director of School of Strategic Studies, Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Muhammad Lutfi Zudi. You may take the floor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Maali Wazir Dr. Riyad Maliki, Muhtaram As-Sayyid Al-Hudud Al-Akharin min Hazir Al-Kharijiyah wa min al-Waqt di Palestina, Muhtaramin, Honorable Mr. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Palestine, His Excellency Dr. Riyad Maliki, Honorable Director General of Asia Pacific and Africa, Ambassador Bisra Percaya, Honorable Director of Public Diplomacy, Pak Aziz Nur Wahyudi, Honorable Director of Middle East, Bapak Sunarto. I am standing in front of you on behalf of our university sector. In this opportunity, I would like to deliver warmest welcome from our rector, because of emergency meeting, he could not attend the program. However, our rector is very supportive and highly appreciate to the program. First of all, we would like to thank Her Excellency Ibu Retno Marsudi as the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia who give the trust to the University of Indonesia to host the event. This activity was one of several series of Palestinian Solidarity Weeks activities held in city of Jakarta and the city of Bandung. For us, the academic community of the University of Indonesia, the presence of Minister Riyad Maliki in this campus has a very important meaning. We are happy to be able to host and listen to ministers' views regarding the development of the Palestinian issues. For Indonesia people, Palestine is always in their heads. They consider Palestine as a brother or a distant relative. The attachment between Indonesia and Palestine is reflected and in various levels. At the state level, the Indonesian Constitution, Undang-Undang Dasar 45 strictly reject existence of colonialism in any form on this earth because it is contrary with humanity and justice. For this reason, Indonesia also until today has never opened diplomatic relations with Israel. Indonesia is at the forefront of defending Palestinian rights in international forums. Furthermore, the University of Indonesia as the oldest campus in Indonesia and has entered the top 10 best university in the ASEAN region has commitment to help elevate the burden of Palestinian people through academic channel. UI collaborates with the government to open the door as wide as possible for students from Palestine to study at our campus. So far, we have one student from Palestine who study in UI under scholarship of Kemitraan Negara Berkembang, provided by Minister of Research, Technology and Higher Education of Indonesia. We are opening opportunity to increase number of students from Palestine through scholarship to provide by our partner in Indonesia. In relation to research activities, we can highlight that the enthusiasm of Indonesian students toward the Palestinian issues is also very high. This is reflected in the high number of theses and dissertations which are explore Palestine topics. In order to improve the friendship between Indonesia and Palestine, our door is wide open for students, lecturers, researchers from Palestine to learn from us about sciences and established in this campus. At the moment, UI consists of 15 faculty, postgraduate program and vocational program. The 13 faculty are the faculty medicine, history, nursing, science, and etc. The number of study program in UI currently 293 study program with 47,166 students and 309 foreign students participating in both degree and non-degree program. Finally, we as the university leadership would like to thank the committee and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia for successfully holding this event. We also would like to apologize if there difficulties during the event. Thanks. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, sir, for the enlightening welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, entering our main agenda, public lecture from His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki. The discussion will be led by Mr. Yon Mahmudi, PhD, as the moderator. Mr. Yon Mahmudi, PhD, please come forward to the stage. I would like to hand over the proceeding to the moderator.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. His Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs Palestinian State Dr. Riyad Malki, welcome to Indonesia. The delegation from the Palestinian State, the Honorable, the Director of School of Strategic and Global Studies, Dr. Muhammad Lutfi, the Director of the School of Environment, Dr. Emil, the Director of the Middle East Studies, Mr. Sunarko, the audience and the participant, welcome to the University of Indonesia. We are very honored today to have our distinguished guest, His Excellency Dr. Riyad Al-Maliki, who come to the Universitas in Indonesia. And this discussion also attended by around 250 students, lecture and other participants, mostly from the Jakarta and the university around the Jakarta, and also from the media and journalists. Today we are going to listen the lecture from Minister of the Foreign Affairs regarding about any current issue of the Palestine and other issues that we as Indonesians always concerned about what happened in Palestine, and we strongly support the struggle of the Palestinians to get independent, as we saw that all the participants now wearing the shawl Indonesian and the Palestinian to show our solidarity to our brothers. And our constitution also emphasized that all the nation has the right to have the independence. So that's why we always support and give a strong support to the independence of the Palestinian. And this is our occasion, the great occasion to show our solidarity to our brothers. And thank you for your coming to the Universitas Indonesia. Then we are going to have time to the Minister of the Foreign Affairs, Dr. Riyad Maliki, to give lecture, and we invite you to give the on the stage. Please, the time is yours. Falyatafaddal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This lecture reminds me of an old time when I used to be lecturer at Beer State University in Palestine. But at that time, I used to be professor of engineering. I did my PhD in artificial intelligence at that time, and politics was one of my favorites. I moved from the academia into working in civil society, where I established different civil society organizations intended to promote democracy, community development in Palestine. And after that, when I was called to serve in government, I opted to say less. So I brought with me my experience as in the academia and my experience in civil society. Palestine, it's a name that has many connotations, significance. It has its own weight on one's shoulder. When we talk about Palestine, we start talking about the Nakba, 1948, when the Palestinians were forced out of their land, transformed into a bunch of refugees living in neighboring countries, waiting for the time to return back, waited for a long time until 1964, when a number of Palestinian nationalists decided to start the revolution to liberate Palestine and to go back to Palestine. 1967 was a time of catastrophe when the remaining part of Palestine, West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Gaza Strip, fall in the hands of Israel, and the totality of the Palestinian land became under Israeli occupation. Part of the Palestinians stayed since 1948 as refugees, and their number today is about 5.5 million. Number of Palestinians who stayed living in the so-called 48 area became citizens of the State of Israel. The Palestinians who stayed in the West Bank, either refugees or residents, became under the Israeli military occupation. The Palestinians outside were refugees waiting for the time to return. The Palestinian people became divided in different geographical areas. Sometimes even no connections between the same members of the same family. We relied on the support of our Arab brothers to liberate Palestine. That did not happen. We relied on ourselves to liberate Palestine with modest means. We couldn't defeat Israel, maybe the fourth or the fifth most powerful country in the world, supported, protected by the United States of America, provided the most sophisticated, advanced, exclusively advanced weapon to Israel, and the Palestinian leadership thought the best way maybe to be able to reunite the Palestinian people, to liberate at least what was really occupied in 1967, meaning West Bank, including Jerusalem and Gaza Strip, is to engage in a direct political negotiations. And so, Madrid conference started. It was October 30th, 1991. The international community came to us, tried to convince us to engage in a political process that ultimately should lead to freedom and to independence. to a Palestinian state. Under pressure to achieve results, under enormous offered guarantees by the international community that this process should lead to end of the occupation, end of the Palestinian suffering, and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state on the 67 borders with East Jerusalem as capital, the Palestinian leadership accepted to engage. And so, even we attended as part of the Jordanian delegation, because they refused at that time even to allow the Palestinians to have their own separate delegation. We were part of the Jordanian delegation. We thought that incrementally we would be able to achieve results, and by the time we managed to have our own separate delegation in negotiations, some of these negotiations then moved to Washington, and some secret negotiations were held in the so-called Oslo, the capital of Norway. When the deal was already set, the Americans insisted that they have to hold the event in the White House. But the agreement was called Oslo Agreement, based on the negotiations that were held secretly between the Israelis and the Palestinians in Oslo, while we had open negotiations in Washington. Now, what Oslo offered us? Oslo, when I say Oslo, I refer to Oslo Agreement. So don't confuse it with, Oslo as the capital of Norway. When I say Oslo, I refer to the agreements that we signed in 1993 in the White House, September 1993. The Oslo Agreement offered us a process of negotiations that should lead at the end to a total freedom and independence. In order to do that, they said we have to go through a transitional period. During this transitional period, Palestinians could establish their own authority in Palestine, and they called it Palestinian Authority. Even the Palestinians could have, parliamentary elections in the occupied Palestinian territory, meaning West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem. And they encouraged us to do so because they said this is just the beginning of a process that ultimately will lead to independence. We agreed to set up the Palestinian Authority, which is really a temporary authority, with temporary bylaws, not constitution, temporary bylaws, in order then to start to sit and to negotiate the final status agreement. And 6 major issues were left for the final status agreement that we have to sit and to negotiate on these 6 major issues. These 6 major issues were Jerusalem, 1, borders, 2, settlements, 3, refugees, 4, security, 5, water, 6. These were very important issues that were not resolved at the beginning, and so they decided to go into transitional process. First, you establish the Palestinian Authority, transitional one, with transitional bylaws. They divided the West Bank territory into areas A, B, and C, where the Palestinian Authority will have full control over area A, about 18%, 17%. Then area B, which the Palestinians will have administrative authorities, but the Israeli occupational authorities will have security authority. And area C, which is about 40% or 60%, 60% of the West Bank will stay under the Israeli full control. both administrative and security, with the condition that we should sit and negotiate these 6 final status issues in order to reach an agreement that will change that status, and the whole West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem will constitute the future Palestinian state. Even they put a ceiling. They said by 1999 that state has to be established. But we need more than that. We were fighting to achieve our own state. We will get it in 1999. Even these 6 pending issues will be discussed, negotiated, during this process, and by 1999 we should really reach a conclusion about it. Meanwhile, they allowed us to have a transitional authority with transitional constitution called bylaws to manage our affair for the time being. During this period, we should build our own institutions, build our own capacity in terms of institutions and in terms of human resources. Well, we had no choice but to accept because of the limited offers that we had. At that time, when we agreed on Oslo, the number of Israeli colonies, Israeli settlements, and Israeli settlers in West Bank and East Jerusalem were about maybe 100,000, 150,000. And we thought that we should accelerate the process of negotiations to reach a peace agreement that will put an end to the settlement construction and the increase of settlers, colonies in the Palestinian occupied territories. We tried our hard to do so, and we were engaged in this process, in this negotiation process. Unfortunately, all the countries who sponsored such agreement, the Americans, the Russians, the Europeans, the Arabs, everybody who were present with us at Madrid conference, October 30th, 1991, and who were present with us when we signed that agreement, in September 1993, all of them disappeared. And they left us alone with the Israelis. We were supposed to sit and to negotiate with the Israelis. So inside the negotiating room, we were alone with the Israelis. No one was with us, no third party. And as you study global studies, you should understand what that really means. In that room, there is no parity between the two sides. One is the occupier, who comes with his own policy, approach, philosophy, and mission, tries to subjugate you, and you, the underprivileged, under occupation, who needed, in order to get to that room, needed a permission from the occupier to be able to leave your home to get there. So imagine what kind of parity that existed. And so we were wasting time during these years, negotiating, but in reality, doing absolutely nothing. While on the ground, the Israelis were building and building and building and building more illegal settlements, bringing more illegal settlers to live in the Palestinian occupied territory, trying to change demography, and by changing demography, creating new realities, and by creating new realities, trying to prevent the creation of the independent Palestinian state that was the objective of the final status negotiations of that Oslo agreement that was signed back in 1993. So the structure was temporary, Palestinian Authority. Everything was temporary in order to serve and to fit the needs at that time, 1993. when we got to 1999, according to the plan, according to the agreement, in 1999 we should complete the negotiations on all these final status issues. We should reach a peace agreement. Israelis should withdraw from our occupied territory, and the Palestinian state should emerge as a result of it. When we got there in 1999, and we said, okay, we tried our best to negotiate a deal. The Israelis refused to reach a deal. We have to declare our independence in 1999. Then, all these countries that disappeared since 1999 and left us alone, suddenly they emerged, all of them. No, please don't do that, because if you do it, you will damage everything. Then, you will enter into another war with Israel, and no one this time will help you. We made terrible mistake. We made terrible mistake that we believed them again, and we did not declare our independent state in 1999. Today, in 2018, we are still where we were left at that time. The authority that was built as a temporary structure still there is intact, functioning until today. It was created to operate for a couple of years as a transitional structure. It became permanent. It became permanent. And the divisions of the land into area A and B and C became permanent. And during this time, when we did not progress, Israelis were progressing in terms of building settlements, confiscating land, creating facts on the ground, changing realities, trying to Judaize the city of Jerusalem, all of that. So here we are in 2018. Still, the Americans, the Europeans, our Arab brothers, and many others, they're still trying to convince us that we should go back to the negotiations. But what negotiations? Are we going back to the same negotiations that we have had back in 1993 to 1999 without any results? What kind of negotiations they want us to go back to? And what kind of guarantees that they are going to offer us? Of course, it's not easy just to turn your back and to say, well, I'm going to embrace armed struggle again, and I'm going to forget about direct negotiations. Because if you do so, then you will lose the support of the international community. If you do so, then it is really suicidal for you, because what chances do you have facing Israel, becoming right now the third most powerful army in the world, the only country right now outside of the United States that has, F-35 outside the United States, the only country with nuclear power. Everybody knows that. So, and the Israelis are waiting for a mistake from our side in order really to jump on us, kill as many Palestinians as possible, deprive us from the land, drive us outside, and the 4.5 million Palestinians who are living in West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem will become refugees living in diaspora again. Is this what we want? Of course not. The idea is that, if we have 4.5 million Palestinians living in their own turf, on their own soil, in their own land, is how to keep them there. How to develop a policy into resilience, and how to make it, as steadfast as possible. So the idea is how to develop your own economy, how to develop your own institutions, how to take advantage of the weakness of your enemy, and how to be able to survive. We turn to be the best strategists in the world, out of need, because we found ourselves in a situation that we don't want anyone to be in. When they ask us that you should go back to the negotiating table, we say, we have no problem, we will do that. But we have to learn lessons and to draw conclusions, to learn from our own states, since 1993 up to where we are today. And if you ask me, what are the lessons that we have learned from this number of years of useless process of negotiations? First of all, you should demand always the presence of third party. Don't accept at all to be alone with your enemy inside a room. Always ask for a third party. Doesn't matter who that third party be. There should be always a third party to witness, to register, to see, and to be judged if it's needed. Second, you have always to define what are the terms of reference of any process of negotiations. You cannot enter into any process of negotiations without defining what are the terms of reference. In our case, the terms of reference are very clear. UN General Assembly Security Council resolutions, international law, Arab Peace Initiative, Madrid Conference. All of these collectively, they represent the terms of reference for our negotiations. Thirdly, you have to define a timetable. Don't make it open-ended negotiations. We have been in this since 1991. If there is no clear definition of when to end, then forget about it. You will be deceived all the time. You have to define a timetable. You have to say that in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 100 years, we should conclude. And that, that time should be the threshold. That it should be, that regardless you achieved the results or not, by that time there will be a declaration. And lastly, you should define your end game. What do you want to achieve? Do you want negotiations for the sake of negotiations? Or you want to end the occupation and to establish an independent Palestinian state alongside the state of Israel? These were the lessons that we have learned during all these years with Israel. Now we say we are not interested in going back to the table of negotiations if these principles are not met. That's really very important. Now, when we say third party, it happened that all the other countries who worked with us back in 1993 decided to turn their back, allowing the Americans, the USA, to be the sole broker to the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations. We always felt that the United States of America is always biased with Israel, always biased. They recognize Israel, they favor Israel, they always support Israel. at military level, economic level, always. And when it comes to us, we are the nasty, we are the bad. That has to be always castigated and punished. But we had no other choice. We tried to convince the European Union to take part. The European Union, with all respect, they dare not to tell the Americans, we want to join you in sponsoring the negotiations. We talked to the Russians, we talked to the Chinese, we talked to everybody. No one dared to tell the Americans, let me in. So we were stuck with the Americans as the sponsoring side, the broker. And when you know in advance that this broker is not biased, whatever you do, always, like a teacher, and whatever you do, will tell you, you did wrong. So this really happened with us. It happened with us all the time until 2014, when John Kerry, Secretary of State during Obama's administration, decided that he cannot continue playing the broker between the Israelis and the Palestinians, because Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, refused to implement an agreement that he reached with John Kerry to release a number of Palestinian political prisoners from the Israeli prisons. And as a result, John Kerry packed his things and went back to Washington. Since 2014, nothing really has happened. No initiatives by the Americans or by any other country. During this time, a total political vacuum was created. Israel, as the occupier, decided to ignore completely Oslo Agreement and other agreements that we have signed at the beginning of the Oslo process. And they decided just to ignore these agreements and to do whatever they think serves their interests. They looked at the Arabs, they found the Arabs. Kerry packed his things and went back to Washington. Since 2014, nothing really has happened. No initiatives by the Americans or by any other country. During this time, a total political vacuum was created. Israel, as the occupier, decided to ignore completely Oslo Agreement and other agreements that we have signed at the beginning of the Oslo process. And they decided just to ignore these agreements and to do whatever they think serves their interests. They looked at the Arabs, they found the Arabs so weak, divided, engaged in their own internal problems, the so-called the Arab Spring, problems in Syria, problems in Iraq, problems in Libya, problems in Yemen, everywhere. And the Arabs, they have no time, no ability, no strength to watch what's happening in the Palestinian occupied territory. The European Union, they can't really protest. They could issue statements, but nothing beyond that. The Americans never to criticize Israel, to the contrary, always to protect whatever Israel really does. So we looked at the situation, no one around us to support, and Israel took advantage. They accelerated construction of illegal settlements. They brought in more illegal settlers, confiscating more Palestinian land, changing realities, especially in Jerusalem, and even threatening, Al-Aqsa Mosque, the first Qibla of the Muslims, and أولى القبلتين ثاني الحرمين ثاني المسجدين وثالث الحرمين الشريفين. What they have done, they decided to alter the status quo that has existed in the Al-Aqsa Mosque for hundreds of years. The status quo that existed in Al-Aqsa Mosque says that Al-Aqsa Mosque is an exclusive Muslim holy place where only Muslims can pray. And this status quo was accepted, respected, and implemented by so many countries in the area and outside of the area. Israel thought it is time to change that historic status quo, taking advantage of the conditions around. So they have decided to allow Jewish settlers to enter into Al-Aqsa Mosque as tourists. And then they decided to divide the time for prayer in Al-Aqsa Mosque between Muslims and between Jews. So now, no Muslim is allowed to enter in Al-Aqsa Mosque from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. and from 12 noon time to 1:30. This time is an exclusive time for Jews to enter in Al-Aqsa Mosque, the most holiest mosque for Islam, while the Muslim Ummah, they watch, doing absolutely nothing, with all respect. Today, a number of Jewish settlers, they petitioned the Israeli High Court to allow them equal access to Al-Aqsa Mosque. When I say equal access, they were not satisfied with 7 to 11 and from 12 to 1:30. They wanted the full time, equal access like the Muslims. And it seems that the Israeli High Court will decide on their favor. What that really means, it really means that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict that lasted for so many years is moving a little bit, one level up, from being a political conflict into becoming a religious conflict. When it is a political conflict, everybody, including you, with all respect, say, well, it is conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. We put the kufiya, will show solidarity from a distance. Because, the conflict is between Israelis and the Palestinians. That's it. Now, the conflict is not anymore between Israelis and the Palestinians. It's between Muslims and Jews. And if you are a Muslim, so it's your problem. Being here in Jakarta or being anywhere else. It's not anymore my problem as Palestinian Muslim or Palestinian Christian. Because, the Israelis had decided to elevate the conflict into a religious conflict. And they are inviting you to take part, to become party to the conflict. To become party to the conflict. So what are you going to do about it? It's very important. It's a challenge to all Muslim Ummah here, in Indonesia, and everywhere. What are you going to do? We had the custodianship of Jerusalem and the holy places for so many years as Palestinians, protecting Al-Aqsa Mosque on behalf of all the Muslims. Now, we are saying we cannot anymore do that. We have sacrificed many Palestinian lives for the sake of the Muslim Ummah to protect Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, we cannot do it. So it's up to you to decide how you are going to defend Al-Aqsa Mosque. It is really a challenge. Think about it. Today, we have a new administration in the White House. President Donald Trump, a man that comes from real estate, from business, has no clue about politics, about history, about rights, about self-determination of people, about occupation, about colonization, about imperialism. And he thinks that everything could be dealt with as a deal, business deal. And so even he changed the way how we speak politics. Always we used to say peace process, peace agreement. Now it is, the deal of the century. So it's not, peace agreement, it's the deal of the century. So he puts the deal as a new concept in how to negotiate between the parties. And this man thought that, well, I will resolve the problem that so many American presidents were not able to resolve. I will deal with it as a business deal. I will try to see, what price to give to the Palestinians, to the Israelis, and to reach that deal. And so he assigned 3 assistants as special team to think about how to develop that deal of the century, to negotiate between the Israelis and the Palestinians and to come up with this deal of the century. It happened that these three individuals who were assigned to be the special team, the first one is his son-in-law, a Jew, and who supports settlements in the Palestinian occupied territory, support Israeli settlements, and donated money, collected money, donation, to build illegal settlements in the Palestinian occupied territories. The second one is Greenblatt, one of his lawyers who worked with him for about 25 years in business deals, also a Jew, and who spent time studying and living in one of the illegal Israeli settlements in the Palestinian occupied territory, in the so-called Gush Etzion block of settlements between Bethlehem and Hebron. The third, another lawyer who worked for Trump for many years, also a Jew, and who donated money to build one of the illegal Israeli settlements called Beit El, near to Ramallah. So what can you expect from such team to sit and to negotiate and to come up with the deal of the century? Just from looking at them and their CV, you could tell that they are totally biased, that they will adopt the Israeli position against the Palestinian position. And this is exactly what happened. This is exactly where we are here today. Trump announced last October that he's going to close the Palestinian representative office in Washington. In December 6, he announced that he is going to recognize Jerusalem as capital. If you want really to go back to it, number 478, that was passed in 1980, which says that no country should recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, because Jerusalem, it is an occupied, East Jerusalem is an occupied territory, and that no country should move its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So Trump administration decided to violate the same Security Council resolution that they have voted in favor in 1980. Then after that, they have decided to cut their funding to UNRWA, a UN agency that really deals with refugees, Palestinian refugees, and then cut completely their financial support to the Palestinian Authority. All these actions have proved that the American administration, current American administration, have decided to side with Israel against the Palestinians. As a result, we came out by saying we cannot accept anymore, if negotiations were to resume, that the Americans will be the exclusive brokers for such negotiations. Not anymore. We stopped all our relationship with the United States of America as a result. But who are we? Just to declare war against the Americans. They declared war against us by these punitive actions. But we, as the country under occupation, Israeli occupation, we tried to seek justice through diplomatic channels and through the legal channels. This is what we are doing today, because in the ground there is no parity. Israel has the supremacy, Israel has the overpower, because they are the occupiers. But in legal track, in international scene, Israel and Palestine are equal. And there we can really use very well what is available in terms of legal track, diplomatic track, in order really just to make sure that we can win. And we have tried in the ICC, the International Criminal Court, and we have tried in the ICJ, the International Court of Justice. We have tried at UNESCO. We have tried at the Human Rights Council. We have tried at the General Assembly under United for Peace. Of course, we have failed in the Security Council because the Americans always use veto. But this is really an open-ended struggle that we have decided to wage against the United States of America, against Israel, in order really to protect our own interest and to protect our own national project for self-determination and for independence. I know that I've taken so long from your time, but I tried really to walk with you in this process to make you understand exactly where we are today and why we are taking these kind of actions. We see that Indonesian membership in the Security Council as an important step, because Indonesia will try to bring justice to the discussions and make sure that the question of Palestine is fairly discussed and fairly represented in the Security Council. We count on Indonesia's support and help in the Security Council, as we have counted on Indonesia's support and help elsewhere. For us, this is really very important, and that's why I'm here, trying to participate in this important Indonesia Solidarity Week with Palestine, and also to have very serious discussions with the President, His Excellency the President. I have a meeting with him about 2 hours ago, and this morning we had a very important foreign policy breakfast with people from the foreign ministry, from the civil society, from the academia, etc. And tomorrow I will be having a full day discussion with my counterpart, my sister Rekno Masudi, where we will be talking about the bilateral relations, what we can do together, and how Indonesia could continue providing support and help to the Palestinian people in terms of capacity building, in terms of institution building, and in terms of really their struggle in order to achieve freedom and independence. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I'm ready just to answer any question if there is any. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Palestinian State. He gave very important message and lecture, and he also taught us the long process of negotiations. But till now, the Palestinian people did not reach the independence. It's supposed to have in 1999 based on the negotiation, but till now the process failed. So we will give the time to the audience, whoever want to ask. Yeah, I want to make sure that I want to have four first. The two from this side and the two also from the side. Okay, then one, another behind. Yes, the gentleman. Yes, it's okay. Okay, Ibu, and another. Let me. Yes, behind. And I will give you another occasion after this, your question. Could you come to the... Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Pennsylvania Authority, or State of Pennsylvania. We understand all that seems to be exhausted with long process of negotiations, but result nothing, or still under process. From the beginning of 1948, this is the establishment of the State of Israel, or based on the 1947 of the United Nations Resolutions 181 concerning partition plan that are offered by the United Nations to the Arab community and to the Jewish community. And the Jewish community respond quickly, led by Ben-Gurion, Chaim Weizmann, to declare the establishment of the State of Israel, 14th of May of 1948, while the Arab community rejected of that offer. Instead of accepting, then war starts day after the declaration of the establishment of the State of Israel. The war started then until today, with big and small level of war. 1949, or the end of 1948, there was also United Nations Resolution 194, also confirming the Jerusalem is for the international authority to hold. 1951, the foreign minister of State of Israel building moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and also Knesset, that is the declaration of occupying Jerusalem as their capital city from them, at least trying to. And in the same year, established also movement that is Hizbut Tahrir movement to extend to the world's Muslim community that this is not only the war between Arab and Jews, but also between the Muslims. So that is the subject. Hearing or listening from your exhausted efforts from the beginning to today, 2018, with exhausted of negotiations in Oslo agreement and
not come true until today. What will be the future step should be taken by the Palestinian Authority to establish state and formal state like any other state, like Republic of Indonesia or any other states, without depending on the Western country, the attitude of Europe, the attitude of America, while you have a lot of friends, including one of them is Indonesia. And when the state is established, the sovereign is established, only three requirements, that is there is people, land, and law. And one among community of the world, the country acknowledge that is a sovereign country, then become country. Why don't do that? At least you have Indonesia. If you establish, declare today, 2018, we declare the establishment of the state Palestine, I believe that Indonesia, yes, you exist and you become state. Like success of negotiations in Oslo agreement and not come to until today. What will be the future step should be taken by the Palestinian Authority to establish state and formal state like any other state, like Republic of Indonesia or any other states, without depending on the Western country, the attitude of Europe, the attitude of America, while you have a lot of friends, including one of them is Indonesia. And when the state is established, the sovereign is established, only three requirements, that is there is people, land, and law. And one among community of the world, the country acknowledge that is a sovereign country, then become country. Why don't we do it? At least you have Indonesia. If you establish, declare today, 2018, we declare the establishment of the state Palestine, I believe that Indonesia, yes, you exist and you become state, like including us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rukman. I'm from INH, International Network for Humanitarian. Before I read from Quran, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa'tasimu bihablillahi jami'an wa la tafarraqu wadhkuru ni'matallahi 'alaikum id kuntum a'da'an fa'alafa baina qulubikum fa'asbahtum bi ni'matihi ikhwanan ila akhir ayat. Alhamdulillah, I say thanks to Chairman because I can have the time to speak, and I want to ask only two questions. First, maybe you hear about Great Return to March in Gaza. Until now, 184 people died, shahid in Gaza, and 20,000 people come to hospital. There's a problem, I think, in Gaza. And what Palestinian authoritarians do for that accident in Gaza Strip, I think. And the second about blockade in Gaza. Until now, we didn't hear about your action about blockade in Gaza city. What you do for that blockade in Gaza for free Gaza Palestinian in Palestine. I mean that question because until now all media, maybe in TV or newspaper, there's no expose about the tragedy in Gaza. My younger brother Mama Tusil in Gaza has 8 years stay in Gaza, and she get married with people from Palestine. Muhammad Hussein, maybe you speak in TV1 or Metro TV. Now, Muhammad Hussein, I am his elder brother. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The next question, Ibu. Yeah.
Thank you, His Excellency Dr. Maki. I am Albertine Mindrop. I am a teacher of American Studies program in here. I understood whatever Excellency said, but my question is, what about the hardline party in your country between Hamas and Fatah? Because I heard this is a problem too, relating to the independence of your country. And the second, I don't think that Palestinians should expect some assistance from the United States and their allies, like some Arabic countries also their allies. Yeah, like Saudi and then Qatar and so on, they go together with Israeli. How come? So why don't this country assist or help your country? And then, as I know, Prince Abdullah bin Salman is a very close friend of Minister of Netanyahu, and also very close friends of the sons-in-law of President Trump. So this we can see how they work together relating to these issues. And then, what do you need from Indonesia to help you, and what do you need from other countries besides the countries that you said in 1999 disappeared when you have the meeting or conference between only you and Israel, while the other countries are running away. So I don't know what the reason is. And then I think Indonesia don't want to be provoked to come to the religious conflict. Let this conflict become just conflict between Palestine and Israel, but don't put together or don't take it to the religious, because it is very, very dangerous. Thank you, Minister, and then Your Excellency.
Okay, the last questions. Yeah. Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Soal بالعربية سيد الوزير، كيف ترى مسار القضية الفلسطينية بشكل عام بعد أن أقرت دولة إسرائيل قانونا يسمى بالقانون الدولة الوطنية؟ وما هي الخطوات التي قد أخذتها الدولة الفلسطينية والتي ستأخذها بشكل عام كرد الفعل على هذا القانون؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Countries, they have recognized the state of Palestine until now. 139 countries. And we are working for further recognition of the state of Palestine. We are not sitting idle and waiting for the Americans to give us our own state, or for the Israelis to give us our own state. We are struggling. We are fighting. Of course, for you to know that, fighting is not only carrying a weapon. Fighting is carrying the pen. Fighting is, demonstrating. Fighting is going to the United Nations. Fighting is making alliance with so many countries. Fighting is making your voice heard everywhere. Fighting, is becoming friends for so different countries. This is really the way how you fight to achieve your rights. Now, when the more we get recognitions from such countries, the more we think that we are close to that the state itself. Yes, we do have about 100 embassies around the world. We have our own institutions. We have built our own institutions. And we have built our own capacity. Yes, we are, according to Resolution 67/19 of November 29, 2012, Palestine became non-member state, an observer state in the United Nations. Non-member state. Even our flag was raised in the United Nations. This is, for us, is very important. In that resolution, if you look at it, 67/19, it says that, the territory of the state of Palestine is under occupation. Meaning that, according to the international law, and since, our territory is occupied by a member state of the United Nations system, then it's the obligation of the United Nations system to try really to end the occupation of our land by another member state. This is really very important. Now, we are trying to achieve that through a diplomatic and political means. And we are progressing. Of course, we cannot promise our people that in one day, in 1 week, or in 1 year, we will be able to achieve that. But we can really, assure them that we will do our utmost, 100% effort, in order really to achieve it. And this is really very important. Now, yes, many countries tried to convince us back in 1999 not to declare the Palestinian state, but of course we function today as a Palestinian state. I'm the foreign minister of the state of Palestine, and when I go everywhere representing the state of Palestine, and we speak as the state of Palestine, we establish relations as state of Palestine, and there is nothing else but that state of Palestine. Now, according to the Oslo Agreement that we have signed with Israel back in 1993, what exists there is not state of Palestine, but Palestinian Authority. So if that action is still needed in order really to complete the transformation into the state of Palestine, wait until the end of this month, on the 28th of this month, when you will hear that yes, we will be deciding to get rid of the Palestinian Authority that was established as a result of Oslo Agreement back in 1999, and we are transforming that Palestinian Authority into the state of Palestine. So yes, we will be functioning as such, and yes, we will put Israel under its own responsibility as a country that is occupying the territory of another country, and this, in this case, of course, the issue will be related to international law. Of course, the demonstrations in Gaza that started March 30th onward were demonstrations that tried to commemorate the Land Day. And the idea of it was really to send a cry from Gaza, the besieged Gaza, Gaza that is being under blockade for the last 12 years by the Israeli authorities, Israeli military authorities, that the people in Gaza, they want really to send a message to the international community, not to forget them, that Gaza, as the largest open-air prison, where it hosts 2 million Palestinians, the international community has to do something about it. And so the intention of such demonstrations towards the fence, towards the borders with Israel, was not really intended to kill oneself, but to send a message, to make the international community aware that there is a problem in Gaza, there is a plight in Gaza that the international community has to take care of. Of course, Israelis cannot tolerate demonstrations, and that's why they brought snipers in order to shoot to kill. Just 2 days ago, 13 innocent Palestinians were killed, and more than 200 Palestinians were injured. More than 200 Palestinians have been killed since March 30th, and more than 23,000 has been really injured. Now we are asking the international community what you are doing about it. What are you doing about it? How you are going to deal with these issues where innocent Palestinians are being killed. Kids of 12, 13 years old have been really killed.
Women, of 19, 20 years old have been really killed. Elderly were killed. And this is really something that we have brought to the ICC, to the International Criminal Court. And there is a case there, and the ICC is studying all these evidences to see if they can open an official investigation against, Israeli military officials and political officials about it. Now, who imposed that siege and the blockade? The Israelis. The Israelis, when they have decided for strategic reasons to withdraw from Gaza, they decided that by withdrawing from Gaza, they want to maintain the control over Gaza. How to do that? By imposing the siege on the land and siege on the sea. And that's why, the Palestinians, the Gazans who live in Gaza, the 2 million of them, they cannot get out, they cannot come in without Israeli, approval. The food that they eat, they cannot come in without Israeli approval. The water that they drink, they cannot have it without Israeli approval. Electricity that they have, they cannot have it without Israeli approval. So Israel is controlling, the life of the Palestinians, not only in Gaza. We are talking about Gaza, but don't forget that the West Bank is not any better. The West Bank is not any better. Inside Gaza, there are no Israeli soldiers. Inside Gaza, there are no Israeli settlers. But in the West Bank, you have Israeli soldiers everywhere. Israeli settlers are building everywhere. And while the Israelis, they turn their back on Gaza, they want to take control over the West Bank. So if there is any territory that is being endangered, that to be taken off completely, is the West Bank. And if there is any intention from our side to put focus on, is the West Bank, how to protect the West Bank and how to prevent the West Bank from being stolen completely by Israeli settlers, by Israeli colonies, and by Israeli soldiers and Israeli policies. This is really very important. And so it's very important to take care of that, very important to watch what's happening, not only in Gaza where there is a blockade, but also in the West Bank where there is more than 460 military checkpoints that they control the lives of the Palestinians everywhere. If you divide the 460 Israeli military checkpoints over the space and the area of the West Bank, there is a checkpoint, an average of every 5 kilometers, meaning that no Palestinian can walk from his home or her home to where they study or where they work, unless they have to cross 1 or 2 or 3 Israeli military checkpoints. So the humiliation, the suffering, it's beyond imagination. And this really happens on a daily basis. This didn't happen yesterday. It happened in 1967. I'm talking about 51 cumulative years. I was 13 years old when this happened. And today I'm 63, 64 years old. It tells you that the suffering of the Palestinians really continue. It didn't stop and didn't start yesterday. And the aim of the Israelis is to take control of the West Bank completely, because they think that the West Bank is the holy land that was promised to them by God. So we have to take care of that. We have to see the risk and the challenge and the threat that really threatens the West Bank on that level. We are very much worried about the division that exists between West Bank and Gaza. We are very much worried about the situation between Fatah and Hamas. And we know that if we want to focus our attention and to put our full energy on how to face the Israeli threats and the Israeli challenge, we have to be united. The Palestinian family has to be united, and the Palestinian land has to be united. This is really very important, and that's why effort has been made for so many years to be able to overcome the division and to reach a reconciliation process. And we are waiting for the support and for the help of Egypt as a country that was given the mandate on behalf of all the Arab countries to try to mediate between Fatah and Hamas in order to put that division. It's really harmful to the Palestinian cause that while we are facing the threat, the challenge, of Israel and Israeli occupation, we, the Palestinians, we are divided among ourselves, and we cannot, unite our lines. We cannot really confront that occupation as a united people, as a united front. That's really something that we are ashamed of, and this is something that we should really deal with and overcome it, the sooner the better. Well, I cannot agree with you that, Mohammed bin Salman is a friend of Netanyahu, etc. If you read the Israeli press, and if you listen to Netanyahu saying that we're under the table, we have relations with the Arabs, that the Arabs, they dare not to speak about their relations with us, etc., etc. Well, this is really part of this, warfare, campaign by Israel to, as part of the, disinformation that try really to send the wrong messages to people in order for the Palestinians really to lose hope that, the Arabs one day they will stand up and really help them. Yes, the Americans thought that, Saudi Arabia and other Arabs will agree on this deal of the century. Now they reached the conclusion that no Arab country will stand up publicly and say that, because no Arab country will accept that East Jerusalem is not really the capital of the state of Palestine. So this is really very important. The Arab countries until today, they have been supporting us financially. Without their contribution, we cannot really manage. You know that our economy has been under occupation, the way that our land is being under occupation, the way that our life is being really under occupation. Our economy is being under occupation. In 1967, when they occupied, our territory, they also occupied our economy, and they annexed our economy to theirs. So our economy became totally dependent on the Israeli economy. We became only, buyers of Israeli products because of that. And since, our economy didn't really develop, we became dependent on foreign aid, and that's why we are awaiting for financial support from the Arab countries and many others. Of course, our economy, if it's being given the opportunity to develop, we can move from being a dependent economy into a prosperous economy. Because no other country in the world, has what we have in Palestine. And you know that there are countries who have natural resources, oil and gas. Others, they have fertile land. But what we have is, the origin of all prophets, the origins of all religions. Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Nazareth, all of that. And so, even in terms of religious tourism, no one could compete with us. Maybe, the beaches of Spain, could have a challenge by the beach, in Italy or in Portugal or in other country. But there is no other place than Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And there is no other place where Jesus Christ was born but in Bethlehem. And so it's very important that if we develop our own tourism in terms of religious tourism, we don't need any support and any help from any other country. We can rely on that. This will be our gold, this will be our treasure, this will be our oil, and this will be our gas. And so, if we are given the opportunity to develop our own economy and to develop our own tourism sector, then we can rely on that completely. We can expect 20 to 30 million tourists a year, Muslims, Christians, that will come to visit these holy places. Their visit will be enough to energize our own economy and to help us to move from a dependent economy into a profitable one. That's really very important, when it comes to this. And this is really what we are looking for. So we hope that one day we can get rid of the occupation, we can really build our own country, and to move into developing, the sector of tourism, especially religious tourism. Today, for example, under occupation, we are receiving in Bethlehem more than 2 million tourists. So imagine, when we can get rid of occupation, how this will develop into enormous opportunity. What to expect from Indonesia? Well, Indonesia has given us everything that we needed. Indonesia has been supporting us politically in all forums, and this is really very, very clear, evident everywhere. Indonesia has provided us with scholarships for our students. Not only that you have only one student here, but in other universities there are Palestinian students. Indonesia has been helping us in our capacity building. Indonesia has been providing UNRWA with financial support, and this is really extremely important in that regard. So yes, we do rely in Indonesia for that support, and it has been very consistent with this. Now, when Indonesia become a non-permanent member in the Security Council 2019-2020, Indonesia has promised that there will be also the voice of the Palestinians in the Security Council. And this is something that we never thought of, that a country like Indonesia will come and say, we will be your voice in the Security Council. This is very important. This is very important. And so I should appreciate and should be thankful to Indonesia for doing so. This is what Retno has told me a couple of days ago, and this is really what I heard it also from His Excellency the President today. And so we will be discussing with her about the modalities, how to set up a continuous communication between the two ministries, between our two missions in the United Nations, in order to coordinate about what our agenda, what is needed for Palestine, so Indonesia will represent Palestine in the Security Council. This is more than we expect, and that's why I'm so happy that Indonesia will take over in the Security Council starting January 1st.
No one wants the conflict to be religious, because always we say if the conflict is political, then there is a solution to the political conflict. When it is really religious, there is no solution to the religious conflict. That's very clear. And that's why we want to stick to the conflict to be political. The problem that the Israelis are pushing the conflict into a religious conflict. I don't want to bring Indonesian boys and girls to fight for Palestine. No, not at all. It's not really my intention. When we walked yesterday, the walk for peace and for humanity yesterday, for me, that walk, the 3,000 or the 4,000 Indonesians who walked with me at 6:30 in the morning, for me this is more than enough. This is really what I needed from Indonesia, to show solidarity and to support. When Palestine needs their support, there will be always people ready to take over the streets of Jakarta and other cities to show solidarity and support to the Palestinians. This is the position. This is for us is very important. We always say, we the Palestinians who live under occupation, where we are totally under the hegemony of the Israelis, always we need fresh air to breathe. We want a hope to see. And always when we see, the people of Indonesia, putting the kufiya and walking the streets in solidarity of Palestine, that gives us the hope, to continue our struggle. This is very important. Don't consider it to be nothing or something very small. No. In any walk, any step that you take, walking for Palestine, it will be seen, valued, appreciated 100 times in Palestine by all the Palestinians. So keep walking for Palestine, showing your solidarity for the Palestinian people. Thank you very much.
We have 10 minutes left, but I will give one opportunity, only one. This is very important question. You consider the important question, then I'll give you the only one. And if there is a journalist who wants to ask, because we don't have the press conference, so please, saya give one and another for journalists if you have to. One for this. Yeah. Yes, and another. Make it very simple. Yes.
because the time is very limited. Okay, so we have two. Yeah.
Your Excellency Dr. Riyad Maliki, 2 weeks ago I met Dr. Ilan Tapik in London. He believed in one-state solution. What do you think about this? Because the government of Indonesia support two-state solution. The second one, you said that even though we don't want to bring this conflict to the religious era, but indeed you mentioned that it's a challenge. The conflict moved one up level to religious one. My question is, even though Indonesian government gives support so far very enormous, you challenge us as a Muslim Ummah, what support you can give to Palestine for the sake of Al-Aqsa Mosque? Thank you very much.
Yes, the second one behind. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, I would like to thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to say my solidarity towards the heroes of Palestine, Ms. Ahmed Tamimi, and the martyr Omar Nair and Jabah Syariah Tahrir Palestine. My question is rather simple. As an Indonesian citizen who sympathizes with Palestine, Buruh, Bulda, Nafdika, Palestine, I would like to ask, what can we, Indonesian citizens, as a people and as a civil society, do to help the Palestine at the best way? Thank you.
Yes, there are people, small minority, both in Israel and Palestine, who started believing in one-state solution. Why is that? Because, they are reaching a point thinking that the two-state solution is not anymore feasible or possible to implement. If Israel continues building the same way that they are building today, at the same pace, settlements everywhere, colonies everywhere, then there is no possibility for the state of Palestine to be created. There will be no area, no space, no land left for the Palestinian state to emerge. If you look at what's happening today about this Bedouin village, Khan al-Ahmar, I don't know if you heard about it, where the Israelis want to demolish 200 people that live there. There is one small school where about 100 students study. The location of that community, Bedouin community, is so strategic because it prevents Israel from building a settlement plan called E1 plan. That if it's being built in that area, it will divide the West Bank between north and south. There will be no continuity between north and south because this E1 plan will cut the West Bank in two parts, totally separate. The idea behind it is to prevent the establishment of an independent, contiguous state of Palestine. So, yes, we have been fighting for so long as Palestinians to have our own independent Palestinian state. We wanted to have our own state. We want to live in our own state, to enjoy what it means to be citizen of your own state, to be free in your own state. We never had it. Even before 67, we were part of Jordan. And after 67, we were under Israeli military occupation. And so we are striving, fighting for our own independent state. Even if it is for one day, just to celebrate that independent state. And after that, if it is really possible to enter into federation, confederation with Jordan or whoever, we have no problem. But we wanted that state of our own as part of the two-state solution. The international community has consensus among the two-state solution. Everybody supports the two-state solution. State for Israel and state for Palestine, to live side by side in peace and security. This gives us the guarantee to have our own state. If we are going to give up on the Palestinian state, then what will happen? We will go to one-state solution. What that really means in practice, it will mean two ways. Either we will go for a democratic approach, where one person, one vote, and from a demographic perception, we will become a majority in that one-state solution in 5 years' time. In 5 years' time. Do you think that Israel will allow us, to control, to make the government, that the president, the prime minister will be Palestinian in one-state solution? It's impossible. Israel is not going to allow a democratic process to happen. So they will undermine this, because it will undermine, the raison d'etre de la creation of the state of Israel, that it's really a Jewish state. The second option, if it's not a democratic option, then it will be an apartheid option, where Israel will have one state but with two systems. One system for the Jews and one system for the Arabs. And then this will mean apartheid. Institutionalized apartheid. This is something that we will never accept, and you will never accept. And so here we are. Either we'll go for a democratic process, which Israel doesn't accept, or for an apartheid, which we do not accept. There is no other way for one-state solution. And that's why we are sticking to the two-state solution, because it gives the Palestinians their own right, their own state, and for the Palestinians to live with dignity, with humanity, with freedom in their own state. Now what will happen after that? 1 hour, 1 minute after declaring independence, this is up to the Palestinians to decide. But at least give them that notion. There are so many Palestinians who fought and felt and died because of the state of Palestine. And we don't want to feel that all these sacrifices went for nothing, for something, for the state of Palestine to be created. For us, that's really very important. I understand, I respect Ilan Pape, but at the end of the day, the two-state solution is best for both sides. Look, we are not expecting that much from the Muslim Ummah, in that sense. What we are saying, that, at least, we are not going to say that the Muslims are, 1 billion or 2 billion Muslims around the world. That if each Muslim will give 1 penny, not $1, then they will help the Palestinians to survive the occupation and for Jerusalem to resist the Judaization process. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, that if there are 1 million Indonesians, and we discussed that this morning, if we have 1 million Indonesians that they do Umrah every year, why not, while they're doing Umrah, to spend 2-3 days in Jerusalem, visiting Jerusalem and praying in Al-Aqsa Mosque? What that really means, it will help the steadfastness of the Palestinians in Jerusalem. It will help their economy. It will keep them there. It will help them to resist the Israeli pressure and Israeli occupation. This is really the solidarity that the Muslim Ummah could do. If out of 1 million, Indonesians, that they do Umrah every year, only 50,000 will come to Jerusalem and to Aqsa Mosque. And from Malaysia, 20,000. And from Bangladesh, 10,000, etc. This will be enough to help the Palestinians in Jerusalem sit fast, stay there. This is really how we see things, in that level. Now, civil society. Look, I do believe that now civil society, individuals, they have a weapon so powerful than anything else in the world. Your ability, everybody is using, the smartphone. everybody, they have the social media. Use it. Use it for the sake of Palestine. Use it. This is really the best weapon to help us. Use the social media and what the social media offers you in order really to pass the word, to spread the word about Palestine, about the struggle of the Palestinians, about the suffering of the Palestinians everywhere. This is really enormous support for us, and if you do it, you will help us very much to resist the occupation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Excellency. Let me conclude this public lecture by His Excellency Mr. Riyad Al-Maliki by putting the speech or statement by the former President of Indonesia, the first President of Indonesia in 1962. He said that as long as the independence of the Palestinian people has not been surrendered to the Palestinian, so long as the Indonesian people stand up against the Israeli occupation. So please give a big applause to Mr. Thank you.
What an enlightening discussion. Thank you very much, His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki and Mr. Yon Mahmoudi, PhD. Please give round of applause for our speaker.
We would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Lutfi Zuhdi for presenting token of appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki. Dr. Muhammad Lutfi Zuhdi and His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki, please come forward to the stage. And this will be followed by a photo session. We would like to invite all our invited guests today to come forward to the stage for taking a group photo.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are entering our last agenda, closing. Let's close our agenda today by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillah. We would like to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Riyad Malki and the distinguished delegation of Palestine and all of you participants of today's event. Finally, the organizing committee of today's event deliver apology for the inconvenience and hope to see you in the next agenda. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.